Kyle Larson, one of NASCAR's most dominant drivers, hasn't won a Cup Series race in more than a year. For many fans, that's proof something has gone wrong. Some believe Hendrick Motorsports is no longer the team to beat. Others think Larson's best days are already behind him. But the numbers, and Larson himself, tell a very different story. Stay with us until the end, because once you hear Larson's own words and look at everything that's happened during his 2026 season, you might realize his next victory is much closer than most people think. Coming into 2026, expectations for Kyle Larson couldn't have been much higher. He entered the season as the defending NASCAR Cup Series champion, but unlike many championship years, there was one unusual detail hanging over his head. His last Cup Series victory had come all the way back at Kansas in May 2025. Although he went on to win the 2025 NASCAR Cup Series championship at Phoenix, he never returned to victory lane after that Kansas victory. His consistency and strong playoff performances were enough to secure the title, but the winless streak carried into the 2026 season. That meant every race in 2026 came with the same question: when would Larson finally win again? The pressure only increased as the season progressed. Larson's season actually became a story of missed opportunities rather than a lack of speed. There were weekends where the number 5 Chevrolet looked capable of winning, only for small mistakes, race strategy, or changing track conditions to make the difference. At Bristol, Larson showed race-winning pace but couldn't convert it into a victory. Kansas, the track where he last won in 2025, was another weekend where expectations were sky-high, yet the win never came. As the schedule moved through Charlotte, Nashville, and Pocono, Larson continued collecting solid finishes, but each race seemed to end with the same headline: fast enough to contend, but still searching for that breakthrough. The road course stretch showed a similar pattern. Larson remained one of the strongest all-around drivers in the field, running competitively at San Diego and continuing to earn valuable points, even though victory lane remained out of reach. By the time the series reached Michigan, the frustration wasn't coming from poor performances. It came from knowing the speed was there without the final result to match it. Despite all of that, Larson never changed his approach. Instead of blaming the car, the rules, or the competition, he repeatedly emphasized that the team needed to keep improving one race at a time. That mindset helped Hendrick Motorsports continue developing its Chevrolet package throughout the summer, and the improvements slowly started showing in the results. Rather than one dramatic turnaround, the progress came through consistent top 5 runs, cleaner execution, and a car that became more competitive nearly every weekend. Fans weren't used to seeing the number 5 team go this long without celebrating a victory. Larson had built a reputation as one of NASCAR's most naturally gifted drivers, capable of winning on almost any type of racetrack. So every week without a win became a bigger storyline. Yet when Larson spoke about the situation earlier this season, he never sounded frustrated. Instead, he admitted the drought almost didn't feel real. He explained, "It's kind of wild to think that it's almost been a year since I've won. I don't feel like we're that bad." He also reminded everyone that the team wasn't giving up, saying, "We're working as hard as we ever have worked. We want to get back to victory lane." That attitude reflected what was happening inside Hendrick Motorsports. The biggest challenge this season wasn't simply bad luck. The organization had been adapting to NASCAR's updated Chevrolet package, and Larson admitted that finding the right balance had taken much longer than expected. Instead of dominating races like they had in previous years, the team often showed speed but struggled to convert it into victories. Sometimes qualifying looked promising, but long-run pace disappeared. Other times, strategy, cautions, or late race restarts changed everything. Despite those setbacks, one thing slowly became clear: Larson wasn't running poorly. He was running competitively almost every weekend. That became even more obvious during the second half of the regular season. At Michigan, Larson finished 4th after another strong performance. In recent races, he continued collecting top 5 finishes while regularly leading laps. The results weren't spectacular headlines, but inside the garage they meant something much bigger. The speed was coming back. That's why Larson's latest comments caught so much attention. Looking at the recent progress, he said, To me, that says we're heading on the right path finally, and I'm motivated by that. That wasn't the reaction of a driver losing confidence. It was the reaction of someone who believes the breakthrough is getting closer every week. And when you compare Larson's recent performances with the beginning of the season, it's easy to understand why. The number 5 Chevrolet has become much more consistent. Instead of fighting just to stay inside the top 10, Larson has regularly been racing near the front, collecting stage points and putting himself in position to capitalize if the opportunity appears. There's another reason rivals shouldn't overlook this improvement. Larson has always been one of NASCAR's fastest drivers once momentum starts building. Throughout his Hendrick Motorsports career, many of his winning streaks began after several races where the raw speed was already visible before the victories finally arrived. That's exactly what makes this current stretch so interesting. The numbers still show a long Cup Series winless streak, but the on-track performance tells a different story. Even NASCAR's official coverage pointed out that Larson has recently led laps in multiple races, collected several top 5 finishes, and climbed back toward the front of the championship standings, giving him growing confidence heading into the remainder of the season. Of course, nobody is pretending the job is finished. The Cup Series is as competitive as it's ever been. Toyota teams have been incredibly strong throughout much of 2026, while Ford has also produced race-winning speed. Every weekend presents another challenge, and Larson knows there are no easy victories in today's NASCAR, but the conversation around him has clearly changed. Earlier this season, people asked whether the defending champion had lost his edge. Now they're asking when, not if, he'll win again. That's a huge difference, because once confidence returns to a driver like Kyle Larson, every upcoming race suddenly becomes an opportunity instead of another reminder of the drought. The winless streak may still be on paper, but the direction of the number 5 team has completely changed. So, while many fans continue focusing on how long it's been since Larson last celebrated in victory lane, Larson himself is focusing on something much more important. If those 3 things continue moving in the same direction, the rest of the NASCAR garage may soon have a much bigger problem than Kyle Larson's winless streak. They may have to deal with Kyle Larson winning again. Before you go, here's the big question. Which track do you think Kyle Larson will finally end his winless streak at? And do you believe he'll make another championship run once he gets back to victory lane? Or will 2026 end without a single race win? Let us know your prediction in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe to NASCAR Nation News, and turn on notifications so you never miss the latest NASCAR news and analysis. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.